Good evening. This is still kind of weird and kind of new for me, but I hope that everyone's doing well, and I hope that we're thinking of positive things and things that uplift us. And tonight, I'd like to share with you a psalm, Psalm 94, verse 19. It says, "In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul." You know, songs that are written by writers, songwriters, they it comes from a very personal and very real place within their emotions and circumstances and experiences that they face. And here, this is the same thing. It comes from a very personal place from the writer of Psalms, and he basically begins and says, "In the multitude of my thoughts," dominated. Uh, the multitude, the many thoughts that he had. He was dominated by worry, by things that weigh us down. And I know that during this troubled time, there's a lot that we try not to focus on, but our mind goes to that. There's a lot of things that we hear, we see on TV, we see on social media, a lot of things that grab our attention, and sometimes we have a lot of thoughts that come to our mind that almost take away a lot of things that we're supposed to focus on. It's kind of one of those things. Have you ever heard that somebody said, my mind is running away with me or away from me? And so here we look, and it says, "In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts." It's kind of like when our mind is dominated by something, dominated by worry, by anxiety, by the unknown, by fear. We need to not focus on that. Well, rather, when we're dominated by that, when our thoughts are running away from us, we should focus more, or in that time, start focusing, basically kick up our confidence in God. When we look at that, we know what we're thinking about. There's a lot that we're thinking about here within these days that we've, whether it be sickness, whether it be the unknown, whether it be fear of loss of job or loss of hours or financial straits, that kind of thing. When we start seeing that our mind is going that way, we need to then try to focus on something else, to take our mind away from that, or to fill our mind with something else. And so the psalmist, he says, "In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts." And when we think about, well, what does God bring? What is God's comforts? What are things that we can think about God? Instead of thinking about the problems and thinking about the worries, let's think of God. Let's contemplate, just sit there and think about what God does. And truly, when we think of that, it's God brings peace in the midst of the storm. The instance in the Bible that talks about that Jesus was in the midst of a boat, in the bottom of the boat, and the storm came up. He brought peace to the storm. What else does he? He does confidence in God, confidence in what he can do, confidence in that we have a relationship, or I pray and I hope that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, that you know him as your personal Savior, and the confidence of, my God has it taken care of. My God is in control. But also confidence in that nothing catches God by surprise. We are constantly caught off guard. We're constantly surprised. Whether it may be somebody going up behind us and scaring us, or it may be that the instance or situation, a new report comes out, or something else that's going on in the world. But we're constantly surprised by it all. But God is never taken off guard. God is never not in control. God is never surprised by the circumstances. He knew this was going on. Did you know? And one of the greatest thoughts that we can have is, that before we were even created, God knew that all these things, not just with this particular virus, not just with the circumstances that are going on, or the things that's going on in your life. God knows it all. God is in complete control of everything. Nothing is not controlled by God. Even the circumstances, even the decisions that we make and the things that we do, God is still in control. And so we have to think of that. We have to contemplate on God. We have to let our mind shift our focus, if you will, shift our focus on not the thoughts, not the worries, not the anxieties, but really on truly God, what He does for us, but also just to contemplate just how great God is. Think of a weight scale. Okay, think of a scale of weights. Think of it that you're putting your thoughts on one side, okay, and it weighs it down because there's more weight than nothing, okay, and so mentally, if you could do this, imagination, a great way to really try to sit and focus, but focus on putting all of your worries, all of your anxieties on this weight scale on one side and fill it up. Fill up everything. I mean, sit there and try not to let your mind go too far to where then you begin to fear and you begin to get more worried. But fill up that one side, okay? And then after you fill up that one side, then I want you to imagine all the things that God does, the confidence that you have in your relationship with Christ, the comfort of Him in control. Think of all the things that He's done for you. Think of all the things that He's done for all of mankind. But then begin to fill up that other side with those things and see your mind start to shift. See your mind start to focus on the things of God and truly let His, the comforts, the many things, steal your mind to that side, to those thoughts, and then begin to rest in what God is showing you and how those worries are starting to kind of drift to the back of your mind, try to go away. I know that one of the greatest passages in Matthew talking about worrying and all that, I want to say it's Matthew chapter 7, but it talks about that, or maybe either Matthew chapter 6, chapter 7. I don't have it in my notes. It just came to my mind, and it'll give you a little bit of homework to work on, but find it out. But it talks about how the sparrow, he knows the flowers. They don't work. They don't toil. They don't worry. They don't stress. And God goes through all these things, the flowers and the hairs on our head and all of this. And that's really kind of the same thought picture, is to realize that God knows, God cares. And so when we go back to the Psalm 94, verse 19, remember back, it's a song. And all these psalms come from a very real place, a really David. I know David didn't write all the psalms, but David wrote most of the psalms, and it was because he felt it, because he knew. Let this be a time that God shows you that He's in control. Let God show and shine through your anxiety or your worries. And truly think about, what is a song, a hymn, a praise song that really speaks to you, that really kind of helps you to focus more on God than the circumstances or situations, and really helps you to reflect. One of the things in my childhood, and still to today, the song that says, Burdens Are Lifted at Calvary. I love that song because I used to call it the bird song because I thought as a child, it talks about birds. Birds are lifted at Calvary. But it imagines me and I don't know, but this is just my mind and how I let that song really help me. That when I'm, dealing with anxieties or with worries, I focus back on that song and it helps me. And I think in my mind and I imagine birds, literal birds, swooping down and catching up whatever worry that I'm thinking at that time, or one anxiety that I'm dealing with. And the bird swoops down and catches it in its little claws or talons or however finger. Well, they don't have fingers, but anyway, but catching it and then flying off and just being able to see it fly away, and God carrying it, or the birds, figuratively carrying it away. And so think of a song, sing it out loud, let it run through your mind while you're also thinking about this verse. In the multitude of my thoughts, thy comforts, thy comforts, thy comforts, let me go back to it. Thy comforts delight my soul. And so let this psalm, and think of a song that helps you. Comment down below. I'd love to hear what your songs that help you or is helping you go throughout the day or kind of go throughout your life. But let God dominate your thoughts. And when you start seeing those scales and you start seeing your mind become overwhelmed, remember back, God is bigger. God is able to take away and handle everything that we get that comes our way. He may not answer it the way we want. He may not take care of it the way we want. But we know and we have confidence that it will be taken care of, and we will be taken care of. And a final thought, has God ever left you in a situation that he's never taken care of you? It kind of puts us into perspective when we think of our life as a whole, not just this moment. I know a lot of times our worries and our anxieties are focused on the here and now. But let's try to look at the bigger picture. Let's try to look at what God's doing in your life and truly be able to show you that he can comfort. The comforts that he brings really gives us peace and really dives deep, goes past the circumstances, and really builds us up and gives us what we need, which is strength. And let us focus on God at this time. Thank you. And I pray that your evening and your day goes well. And I will see you later.